distinguished guests on the dais, my brothers and sisters from all over the world, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I must thank Dr. Murugesan, Dr. Ratnam, for bringing me here. I was a bit confused when Ratnam asked me to go over here because I thought I'm a trained cardiologist, a professor of cardiology in various universities, and I have been trying to understand human wellness and human illness for well over half a century, ever since I joined the Stanley Medical College in Chennai way back in 1956. Would you believe even now I am confused? Now today I am more confused because I was listening to the various talks from the morning, almost synonymously using the word wellness, integrated medicine, on all kinds of things together. Let me make certain definitions very clear. Irrespective of what medicine it is, whether it is allopathic or homeopathic, all medicines other than homeopathic are allopathic. Allo is against, pathy is disease. So if you give anything against a disease, it becomes an allopathy. So even the so-called alternative medicine, so-called complementary medicine are all allopathic. But homeopathy is something little different. That's one point. Wellness is your birthright. Would you believe that when a human body is designed by their great creator, it was designed in such a way that it should correct itself should something go wrong, not expecting any one of us to be assisting the ill people. You would be surprised. We were hunter-gatherers in the forest, and if there are only two causes of death, one is predation, the other one is old age. Supposing a tiger came and ate a limb of yours and ran away, you wouldn't die. Do you know that? You wouldn't die because the nature has provided a system called the autonomic nervous system, which redistributes the circulation, which closes down the bleeding vessels, which clots the blood, and which cools your body and reduces the oxygen demand. So chances are that you will not die. A recent audit of the Falklands War, which the British fought in South America, and the Vietnam War, which the Americans fought in Vietnam, shows us that in Vietnam, a grievously injured soldier had a 5-star modern medical treatment in Saigon within 5 to 10 minutes, carried by a helicopter. Whereas in Falklands, the British had no friends, and the soldiers were left on the ice, luckily, because it was October, November, December that the war took place, for as long as 24 to 48 hours. Now the audit shows the per capita death of the grievously injured people is slightly better in Falklands than in Vietnam, which means by doctor's intervention, we have sent more people to meet their maker in heaven faster. But let me hasten to add, having said that, irrespective of what system it is, if you administer a medicine into the system, there are a lot of changes occurring in the human body. That is the reason why a great thinker, Oliver Wendell Holmes, who trained as a doctor, became a professor of anatomy in the Harvard Medical School, very quickly left that to become a poet, wrote this beautiful word, "Take this home with you." He said, I quote, "If the whole materia medica simply means all the medicines, if the whole materia medica could be sunk to the bottom of the Bay of Bengal, it will be that much worse for the fishes and that much be good for the humankind." So now I'll bring you to the wellness concept. If you want to be well, have a mind which is well. Most, if not all, diseases start in the human mind, grow in the human body, aspected by your gene, and encouraged or suppressed or encouraged by the environment in which we live. No, I don't need the slides because I don't think there is time for slides. Close that down, please. Okay, thank you. Hang on. Now, Where is the mind? Where is the mind? Never mind. And what is matter? No matter. A month ago, I was lecturing along with one of the greatest physicists of this world, the president of the Max Planck Institute in Munich, Germany. His name is Hans-Peter Dürr. And Hans was talking on matter, and I was talking on the new concept of holism in modern medicine. The old man started, he is 84 years old. He said, I'm a nuclear scientist. My job is to look at matter at its subtlest, and the subtlest level, which I've been doing for the last 55 years in the Max Planck Institute, and my predecessors were Albert Einstein and Werner Heisenberg. And after 55 years, ladies and gentlemen, I now know there is no matter at all. So friends, matter and energy are two faces of the same coin. So human body is a bundle of jumping leptoquarks. Leptoquark is the last bit of matter. Atom, hydrons, leptoquarks. Lepto is in Latin means the smallest, quark is a bit. So you and I are jumping leptoquarks. You and I look solid because it is only an illusion, or if you want to call it as a delusion. But when we all meet here, now lot of us have come together. This is the beginning. Coming together is the beginning. But staying together is progress. And working together is the goal. Please take home this message. Any medicine, irrespective of what name you give it, is probably not good for the human system, unless the human system really is in a bad shape. And that happens in emergency care, where you require the modern medical assistance. Modern medicine is a necessity in emergency care. God forbid, if one of us is you can't say, I will do meditation and my bones will get set. No, you have to go for modern medical treatment. But the incidence of emergency is only 5% of the population. 95% of the illnesses are probably self-correcting. Most illnesses are what are called minor illness syndromes. These do not require any medicines whatsoever, and it requires a little rest, and it dies at its own time. Then there are what are called chronic incurable diseases, like cancer, for example. Nothing much can be done. You have to only do what Hippocrates wrote: cure rarely, comfort mostly, but console always. And that's what medicine does. And that could be achieved by a mind which is tranquil. How do you do that? Very simple. Mind is not in the brain. Mind is in every cell of the human body at its subatomic level. But there is a headquarters which manages the whole human system. That's called the human brain. All of you must be knowing that the human brain is a beautiful organ, but has two separate entities, the right brain and the left brain, connected by a number of axons, nearly 3 billion axons of an organ called corpus callosum. Now for those people who understand the computers, let me tell you, the right brain is a parallel processor. The left brain is a serial processor. So the right brain is in touch with the whole universe. The left brain is I am. You know, it tells you, oh, you are B.M. Hegde, you must be something different from others. The left brain tells you. Left brain tells you, you must make money. The left brain tells you, you must cheat others. The left brain tells you, you sell a medicine and make money, come what may. But the right brain says, no, you are me. This mic is myself. Because the leptoquarks in this mic and leptoquarks in me are alike. And Hans-Peter Dürr, who is a German, was quoting ancient Indian scripture to say how much the Indian rishis knew about the mind. He said, the mind is leptoquark, leptoquark is everywhere, and this I call as a duality in English, but the Indian sages called it as Advaita, and he quoted this beautiful stanza which says, Bahir antascha bhutanam. It's inside and outside. Charam acharamevacha. The leptoquark is so moving around the nucleus, but you still look solid. Sukshmavatet avijnayam. No scientist can see it. No scientist can see a leptoquark. No scientist has seen an electron. Of course, they have described it by different names and got Nobel Prize, but they have not seen it. Just as you and I have not seen God, they have not seen a leptoquark. But friends, the right brain always tells you, love others, help others. Because there is nobody called other. Dr. Sir P.I. Peter and B.M. Hegde are the same bundle of leptoquarks. So the minute I say, shall I do something for Peter? Do you know what happens to you? Your immune system gets a shot in its arm. Your CD4 T cells go up. These are the cells which go down when you have AIDS. Some speaker preceding me was saying AIDS is the biggest disease. I am sorry for most of people who think AIDS is the biggest disease. You would be surprised in India. I am talking of India. More children, our minister is here. I want him to take this message to the health minister, who is a doctor. More children in India die of NIDS and not AIDS. What is NIDS? Nutritional Immune Deficiency Syndrome. Not acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a world which is totally different from the outside world. We all had a wonderful lunch this afternoon. I was only looking at the menu and I was wondering, 840 million people in this world, mark my words, 840 million people in this world do not have 1 square meal a day. Can you believe that? 540 million in this world are malnourished. 57 million children in India today, 2007, are malnourished, vis-a-vis 42 million in the whole of African continent put together. You are not aware of that world, the world of the have-nots. The biggest cause of illness is food or the lack of it. And for some of us, the food, the more of it. So there are two kinds of illnesses. Illness of food deficiency, which affects a large majority, and the illness of excess food, which is called the new epidemic of obesity, overweight, cholesterol, and what have you. Let me remind you, my dear friends, there is enough in this world for man's need. There is enough in this world for man's need. Did you say I must shut up? No. No, because I remember once my wife sent a chit when I was talking. And I didn't look at the chit. I just put it on the table and the chairman looked at it. Do you know what was written? KISS. K-I-S-S. So he was telling me after I finished my speech, your wife is so loving. Even here she has sent you a chit saying that she wants to kiss. I said, no. She said, keep it short, stupid. So friends, coming back to the concept of wellness, what you should be doing is just keep your mind absolutely filled with universal love. And very interesting thing about the human brain is, you know what are the greatest risk factors for disease? Not cholesterol and things like that. It is not what you eat that kills you. It is what eats you that kills you. Your negative thoughts. See this beautiful stanza from Charaka Samhita. Krodha, Shokha, Bhaya, Ayasa, Viruddhanna Bhojana, Taponalan, Katva Amla Kshara Lavana Tikshnoshnati, Rakta Pitta Prakopet. All diseases come from Krodha, anger. I will see that I destroy Peter. You know who gets destroyed? I. Each time I tell him, I want to destroy Peter, I am getting destroyed. My heart is getting damaged, my blood pressure is going up, my breathing is becoming bad, and my liver is functioning less, my sugar is going up. So friends, you have to develop, nurture, and manure your right brain and try to suppress your left brain to the extent possible. Because it says, I am, that is aham, that ego, that kills. So wellness does not come by medicine. Wellness comes by simple 4 things. A, keep your mind tranquil. Number 1. Number 2, love everyone. 3, hate no one. 4, help others if you can, but don't harm certainly. 6, eat in moderation. What our ancestors used to eat. And look at nature before you eat. Most of you ate chicken this afternoon, did you? No? No. Now see, the meat-eating animals in nature never eat cooked meat. So if you want to eat chicken and still survive, you must eat raw chicken. The minute you cook it, the chemicals change and make it poison. And when you fry it, it becomes a terrific poison. Now for example, milk. Tell me in nature, which animal drinks the milk of another animal? The minute you stop drinking your mother's milk, my dear friends, you don't have an enzyme to digest milk at all. And recent studies have shown that milk, foreign milk protein and the protein in your pancreas are identical. So when you drink foreign milk, that is another species milk, you produce antibodies in the body which sometimes do not recognize your own pancreas and go and hit it. That's why we are all becoming diabetics at a young age of 30, 40. In the good old days, our ancestors had to walk several miles to get the next meal. Today, you don't even have to get out of your chair. The meal comes to the table and it's all cooked and pre-cooked and kept with lot of salt in it. Preserved food is the biggest killer. Now, all this is fine. Now, we talked about alternate medicines. They are all good. Now, you will not be able to sell it to a scientific community unless you do authentic, hard scientific studies on any one of the medicines you want to sell to the world and get that published in a peer-reviewed journal. Then the world will sit up and say, yes, this medicine is good. So to do that, we have a group of 15 scientists based in Washington, D.C. for the last 5 years, ever since I retired. We call ourselves Friends of Health, and we have started a new journal called the Journal of the Science of Healing Outcomes. Of the 15 people, I am the only ordinary person. Rest of them are Nobel laureates and various others. She has sent the same kiss. If any one of you have authentic data on healing with any medicine you have, you please send that data to me. I will get it published with a super reviewed journal, which is called JSHO, which is an online journal. Simply sitting here and saying alternate medicine is the best, nobody will buy it. If you want to sell it to anyone, you must talk in their language. And to sell anything to the scientific community, you must talk it in scientific language. Thank you all very much for a very patient hearing.